Boom, what's up you guys? It's Royce Jacob, and welcome back to another members exclusive video. The month of February is historically bullish for Bitcoin, but I think that the technicals might get in the way of a potentially hot start. So, in this video, we are of course going to take a look at Bitcoin, Riot, and Coinbase on the charts. I'll let you guys know how I think the technicals are setting up to potentially pan out in the first week or two of the month of February. But I do want to kick it off with the fundamentals. We'll go over this Cointelegraph article by William Suberg that covers a lot of not just Bitcoin related fundamentals and kind of the macro backdrop regarding Bitcoin, but also just the greater markets because Trump just dropped some tariffs that really shook up the markets as we closed out the month of January, which is super exciting for a few of our plays over at Waves Capital. But overall, the fundamentals, just to sum things up real quick, the fundamentals for Bitcoin are strong. You all know that the Trump presidency is a net positive for Bitcoin and crypto assets overall. So I am still bullish on a medium to long-term time horizon, but the short term, as I alluded to the very beginning of the video, is looking a little dicey. And as you guys looking at this, I know many of you are competent enough to just see what's going on here. So I'll explain that. We'll take a look at Riot and Coin once again. But after we do this, before we get to reading, I would say this. I know most of you guys who are members of the YouTube channel, who I greatly appreciate, are also members of the portfolio and newsletter group, which I also greatly appreciate. But if not, what are you guys waiting for? The month of January was awesome, and I expect the month of February to be equally as good, if not better, with all of the earnings we have coming up. A lot of earnings this week, so super exciting week ahead for us. If you want to join, if you want to receive these daily newsletters, this is one of the 3 that I sent out just on Friday, covering all the charts that we know and sometimes love here on the channel, and of course in the Waves portfolio. It's the first link in the description of the video. Complete portfolio, daily trade alerts, email newsletters. Choose your pricing plan. Completely up to you. But if not, no worries at all. I appreciate you watching this video, and if you do choose to join the team, then welcome. We look forward to having you. Okay. Bitcoin seals first 100K plus monthly close with BTC price due for a big move. Bitcoin completes its highest monthly close in history, while February traditionally spawns double-digit BTC price gains. Bitcoin has made history after BTC achieved its first 6-digit monthly close ever. Bitcoin monthly close smashes a record. Data from Cointelegraph Markets Pro and TradingView confirms that on January 31st, Bitcoin closed its latest monthly candle at 102,400 on Bitstamp. The move came despite a last-minute BTC price drop due to macroeconomic volatility and gave bulls their first close above the $100,000 mark. Risk assets tumbled during the Wall Street trading session after U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed that tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China would come into existence on February 1st. After initially rising, U.S. stocks ended the day down, while sentiment suffered per data from the traditional and crypto-based Fear and Greed Index. Reacting, however, the market's commentators saw little reason to be bearish posturing. Quote, at every 1% correction and panic and crash forecasts is not characteristics of a market top, in my opinion, popular analyst Axel Kibar wrote in a post on X. Quote, a market top is accompanied by euphoria, disbelief in even a short-term correction. Okay, so we're going to stop reading there. You guys can go check this out. Once again, shout out to William Suberg of Cointelegraph. Go read the whole article if you want. But overall, kind of just reiterates, I guess I'm reiterating what this article discussed. Bullish long-term, and in my opinion, I am bearish on the short-term for the reasons we're about to discuss. Okay, so Bitcoin, surprise, surprise, you guys know it. We love it sometimes if we're on the right side of the trade for Bitcoin. I've never, ever shorted Bitcoin, and I wouldn't short Bitcoin out of principle. But, if I'm shorting a stock, I love to see it. It's the head and shoulders pattern, okay? And as many of you know, oh, excuse me. Get so excited about the good old head and shoulders. We do have, excuse me again. We do have a video about this, a trader tips video, the member exclusive video that goes over the head and shoulders pattern. So go check that out in the trader tips playlist and the member exclusive playlist if you guys want a deep dive on the head and shoulders pattern. But pretty simple, big move up followed by a sideways range, creating the first shoulder, big rounded top, only to be followed by a symmetrical range that mirrors that first trading range, creating the opposing shoulder. Okay, this is a bearish pattern. The inverse head and shoulder is the bullish twin. The bullish parallel universe, brother, of the twin of the head and shoulders pattern, which is a bullish pattern, obviously, for that reason. But in this case, it's bearish. You can see here that it's likely that we'll find a resolution to this pattern probably by Monday, Tuesday. It might be even sooner than that. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a resolution by tomorrow as we head into the trading week. But hey, on the bright side, that does also provide a very potentially promising shark up scenario for some Riot call options, which is what I will be looking to do if we do get this pullback over the weekend. Like if Bitcoin pulls back 4%, which at this point is likely. So on top of this head and shoulders pattern, you can see that we also fell back into this descending, it's not really a descending triangle. I'll call this more of a descending channel following a breakout. And this comes back to something that I said in a recent video. If you get a break of a line of resistance and you don't see, I actually said this in the newsletter that I sent out on the 29th or 30th, if you guys recall. I hate seeing a breakout followed by a hug of the trend line that was just broken. So in this case, you can see here that Bitcoin did break above this line of resistance, but we got a little spike up, but it got immediately rejected, and there was really no volume to it. There was no weight to it. There was no, there was no, the volume didn't, it wasn't what I wanted to see, right? Okay. So if you get a breakout followed by, the charts kind of just hugging the trend line that was just broken, that's 9 times out of 10, at least in my experience, is bearish. Okay. And the same goes vice versa. But in this case, again, we were hugging the line of resistance that was just broken. That breakout failed, and then we broke back into the descending channel that was just broken out of, which is bearish. And again, now we're printing this pretty textbook head and shoulders pattern. I think it's likely that over the course of the weekend, and this might already pan out as I record this video, to be completely honest, I do think that by the end of the weekend, we do fall to test the line of supports. This is conservative support. Also have, you guys know this, a trader tips video, a technical trading tips video, talking about absolute and conservative trend lines. So conservative yellow, absolute orange. I do think that at the very least, we do fall over the next day or two to fall to this line of conservative resistance. Again, this is about 4% from current levels where we're at just under 102K. That also comes perfectly in line with what I would consider to be the resolution point of this head and shoulders pattern. That'd be just under $99,000. Worst case scenario, I would say in the next day or two. You guys, this is Bitcoin. Crazy stuff can happen. We can see, Bitcoin could be sitting at 120K tomorrow. It could be sitting at 80K tomorrow. This is crypto. Okay. So I think personally, just from a technical perspective, the worst case scenario would be a descent to the line of absolute resistance. Absolute support on this descending channel. But that's not actually the worst case scenario. That's a bearish scenario. The absolute worst case scenario, in my opinion, as we zoom out, let's actually take a look at this one-day RSI. So one-day RSI and stochastic RSI are actually looking bullish as well. You can see one-day RSI right here. My cursor is hovering. Has broken below its exponential moving average, while one-day stochastic RSI has curled to the downside. Those are two bearish indicators, and that makes me just even more confident in the idea that we probably do pull back in the short term. Okay, absolute worst case scenario in my mind. And keep in mind, you guys, we could always fall lower than this. I keep saying worst case scenario, but in my opinion, the worst case scenario would be a descent to $82,000. I've discussed in many videos why that's the case, but it's just historically pretty. If we do pull back to 82K from the highs we just saw, that's like a historically pretty common pullback prior to a resumption of the overall rally. So I think the worst case scenario would be $82,000. If the greater markets start to crumble, if Apple keeps falling as I expect it to, and we're really profiting off that Apple put trade, then I think tech stocks, AI, and especially if like Palantir announces a poor earnings report, if we get some negative earnings momentum behind AI this week, I will be recording the Palantir video right after this, so stay tuned for that. Then it's very possible that it drags just the entire risk on growth sectors with it, okay? And that includes Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. But again, you guys, long-term bullish, short-term I am bearish, but as I said earlier, it could present some really appealing buying opportunities if you are sharing the same sentiment as I am, okay? So Riot is holding up pretty darn well, to be completely honest. I like the fact that Riot was only moderately down, like marginally down, while names like Bitcoin is down 2%. You can see Mara down 4.5%, Coinbase down 3%, MicroStrategy down 1.5%. Riot held in pretty strong, and they did recently release the news of a potential of another activist investor. As I've said to a few of you guys, that's not necessarily good news. It could also create a point of contention amongst, like, when you get too many captains on a team, when you get too many people thinking that they have a say in what should go down, and it's not just the CEO anymore, that could actually be a bad thing. I'm pretty indifferent about this, to be completely honest. I hope it works out for the best. I'm confident in the team at Riot, the core team of Riot, to navigate this correctly. But overall, like, when it comes to that kind of stuff, it really depends on how it plays out. And I have no knowledge that I'm not confident enough about the future of that to have any reasonable opinion on it. So I'm not going to. I'm going to stick to what we know, and that's a technical short term. You can see here Riot kind of also printing a similar head and shoulders pattern looking here. First shoulder come up, you got the head. This shoulder is bouncing back up. Maybe we can get a short-term bounce up to like 1260, 1270. In which case, if you guys do have a meaningful position in Riot, that would break you if it was to go to zero. Like if you're holding call options on Riot, like February call options, I would be very careful with those. I would definitely sell if we do see 1275, 1280, top end of this, the opposing shoulder. Because, as I just said with Bitcoin, it's likely that we get some short-term pain. That said, if we just fall and if we do end up testing, say Monday, Tuesday, if we do end up testing the line of support on this kind of symmetrical triangle pattern, this Riot has been, as many of you know, very, very testy and very annoying. So overall, this is still the line of support that I'll trade off of. This would be absolute, but we aren't getting greedy here. This is the line of support that I look to potentially buy some Riot call options upon, which is this red line right here, as I'm sure you've already imagined. That would result in about $11. So at $11, if we see $11 over Monday, Tuesday, that's, to me, from a long-term perspective, for sure is a very appealing buying opportunity. And personally, I'm holding, some late spring call options on Riot Platforms. I guess just some regular spring call options, just to be for full transparency. So I'm not necessarily super worried about the short term. If we do pop, that could be a good opportunity, to be honest, to push back expirations on contracts. Because as I've said a few times already, bullish, medium to long term, bearish short term. Corrections present opportunities, but if you guys if Bitcoin keeps falling, Bitcoin falls to $82,000, it's probably going to be pretty ugly for the whole crypto sector. So just be aware. We could break below this line of support and fall even further, but it's really dependent upon how the next few days play out. So we'll keep an eye on it, of course. And then closing it out with Coinbase. Coinbase announces earnings on the 13th. Yep, the 13th. And I'm pretty bullish on Coinbase. Personally, I have a meaningfully sized Coinbase and Riot, two of my oldest common share positions in the Waves portfolio. So I think my average buy price on Coinbase is like $75 or $80 or something. So I'm way in the money on my common share position. I don't personally trade call options, and I don't plan on trading call options into earnings for full transparency, just because the premiums on those calls are so expensive. There's a lot of implied volatility, so we're probably going to see a pretty darn big move after this Coinbase earnings. I will say that I'm bullish on earnings. I'm definitely not going to be selling any common shares prior to this earnings report and I'm not taking profits. I'm in Coinbase for the long term. I think at a market cap of 73B, they have a very, very long and up into the right future ahead of them. But I will not be trading call options on this earnings report. Okay. Kind of similar to Palantir. Palantir even more so, which I'll explain in the Palantir video I'm about to record. I don't doubt that they're going to present solid numbers, but I'm not trying to, it's way more of a gamble when you're playing hype stocks like these, because you're not necessarily you're not betting on, is this a good or a bad report? You're betting on, how is the market going to react to this? Okay. And that's not a risk that I'm comfortable taking. There's not enough, it's not definitive enough for me to be willing to put my money where, not even where my mouth is, but it's not a gamble. It's a gamble. Okay. You can say that all trading is gambling, but you do the best to mitigate risk, analyze risk and really mitigate and really just weigh out the odds to mitigate risk. Okay. So, Coinbase, if we do get a strong earnings report, then I wouldn't be surprised to see a 25, 26 move up by March 1st in order to test the top line of resistance, conservative resistance, right, Chia? Okay. Conservative resistance, absolute resistance. Play conservative. I wouldn't be surprised if we test conservative resistance, which would be about a 24% rally by March 1st in the case that we get a strong report on the 13th. Okay, so that's that, you guys. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I'm excited for the month ahead. And once again, if you do want to join Waves Capital, if you want the daily newsletters, if you want a full breakdown, all call options, put options, common shares, cryptocurrencies, everything with my daily trade alerts, it's the first link in the description of the video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the comments. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.